Well, the boat's in the usual amount of chaos. The refit is still fully underway. We've got a nice new fridge lid here. Finished product? No, not really. But anyway, we've decided, it, we're going sailing. Let's get out there and, as they say, get into it. This is Brilliant 2, a Kelly Peterson 44 built in 1978. This is us, the Smallwoods. And this is the story of our long overdue boat refit. Wait, this is the story of a mid-refit sailing adventure. Welcome along for the ride. Well, this is what you call wing on wing, when you've got the main out on one side and the jib out on the other. Today we're doing it properly and we've actually got the pole on the end of the jib. It tends to flap around a little bit because you always put it out on the wrong side technically, and sometimes we're a little bit lazy and we just put the sail out and don't pole it, and it never really works properly. Anyway, we're doing it right today. We've got some fairly unseasonal weather. It's actually been blowing northwest as we've been getting out of the Port of Airlie Marina today. That's one of the reasons why we've got quite a loose plan for where we're going. The other is that there's thunderstorms forecast. We've got 3 possible options for tonight's anchorage, depending on how far we think we can go with this wind and watching the sky and seeing what kind of weather develops. The overall plan is to hopefully make it down to the Percy Islands. Of course, the refit is still fully underway. We've got half a galley. There's no doors on the lockers and there's no lockers really. They haven't been rebuilt, but hell, we decided we're not going to let it stop us from going sailing.
Tease up. Come on, move.
The ship's cat. Pepe, what do you think about this journey? Do you like going downwind?
Oh, here comes the cabin boy.
We're going to jibe the jibs.
So we've got to go around a headland and the wind's going to get us a little bit, so we've got to actually pull the jib over onto the other side.
We're going to furl the jib a bit and then we'll drop the pole and then we'll pull the jib in on the other side. Let it go a bit more. So 10 minutes ago we jibed because we had to go through a channel between islands and we want to turn back onto our proper course. So we're going to have to jibe the Genoa out again and pole it out.
Alright. Sometimes you'd never know that we had a son.
Yeah, I know, I thought we left him behind.
Because he's at that age where he likes to go into his man cave.
Can we have some lunch?
Not just yet.
Please.
Oh, and where he likes to eat all the time as well.
But Mummy, I'm a bit pecky.
Oh, for a change.
If you could just sail downwind all the time. I'm just saying, I like downwind sailing. Forget all other sailing.
If you're wondering why we're so excited about this, it's because we never seem to sail downwind. It's like wherever we want to go, that is where the wind is coming from. And it's been that way forever.
Even if we have to motor back in a week's time against the wind and waves, at least we've had a pleasurable few days sailing downwind.
There's something about how you can count the days that you get favourable sailing.
1 in 10.
1 in 10, there you go. Well, this is one of our 1 in 10. God, does that mean we've got 9 days of like...
I hope not.
I hope not. Touch wood. Touch wood.
You can lose those good days as well. If you have a night and in an anchorage and a thunderstorm comes through at 2 or 3 in the morning, it knocks off the pleasure of the previous day's sailing downwind.
Which of course is always possible today because there's
Severe thunderstorm warning.
Oh dear.
Never a dull moment.
We've got to go around with the convoy. It's the Royal Australian Navy convoy. We're in World War II. We will have an escort flying rooster buffaloes with us. Convoy will come out of here, go around here, because there's Japanese subs around this point, so we've got to be careful. Mount Ruper, that's where the Japanese are based. Shute Harbour is where the Japanese Navy is based. So they can get out of this bay here, really easy, and stalk the convoy, which is possible. But we have Australian bow fighters and bow forwards. So
It's a funny little world Josh lives in, I tell you. It's different to everybody else's, but whatever works.
What are you doing, babe?
Filling out the log.
we're in a war and we don't need logbooks, we just need strategy.
So we're cruising along at 7 knots, 7.1 knots, and dead downwind. We're not dead downwind, we're actually just off the wind. Breeze is about 15 knots, 16. Boat's nice and level, it's like being on a catamaran. Shaz is making some lunch.
What do you reckon, Peps, to the decor? Improvement? Yeah.
Joshy's in the man cave. He won't come out because the sun's too bright.
He will come out in a minute because it'll be like a seagull, a flock of seagulls.
To chips.
Because I'll get that food out and he'll be there faster than you can say crackers. Food, 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 food!
We're doing 7.4 knots, 7.5 knots.
Oh, we're
Having lunch.
Well, I think we've decided on Bilbob Bay at the bottom of Shore Island, and so we're just doing a final reach along the bottom of the island up to the bay.
What were the deciding factors in the anchorage then?
In case there's a thunderstorm tonight, we want to get out of the bay before it hits, so that it's a wider, more open exit, and there's a bit more room, and I suspect there's less boats in here than there might be at Thomas.
It's also still reasonably early in the day. It's what, 3 o'clock? So we've still got quite good light for getting into the anchorage and making sure we're clear of reef. I'm gonna get this jib in.
Okay, that's good.
Right. Well, I suppose we're declaring that we're here. We are in Bilbob Bay
Baby
on
turtle.
Shore Island.
For sure.
It's a dad joke for you. After checking the anchor is set, we usually launch our dinghy and head ashore, particularly if we're visiting a new place with new beaches to explore. Go for a nice walk. Beautiful sandy beach here.
Quite often they look like sand when you get there, and they're not. They're just coral rubble that you can't walk on without shoes.
Bit of a lagoon here. It's nearly high tide, but it's not a very high tide, so nothing in here. Oh, shadows. Oh my god, the sandflies just found us in the creek, getting bitten. So I've got to hightail it out of here.
As soon as they found us, oh, he just went for it. Let's get out in the breeze.
Back where there wasn't so much earlier, but anyway.
I'm quite happy that we've got lots of water around us. Oh, guess what I found?
What? Oh. A nautilus shell.
A nautilus. How about that? It's very broken, but that's the first one I've ever found.
There's a bit of rubbish in this creek, as there tends to be with a lot of the southerly facing bays, because the prevailing trade winds are from the south and southeast. That's where all the rubbish blows in from. But there's actually not that much rubbish here for one of those bays, which is surprising. It could be one of the places where eco barges come to do one of their cleanups. We've got this really amazing organisation called Eco Barge Clean Seas, and they take people out on their barge and come to places like this and basically clean up all the marine debris, and then they take it back to their base in Jubilee Pocket and sort it all and classify what sort of plastics it is and where they've come from. It's really useful information. And they also work with turtle rehabilitation. So when we get turtles that become sick or ingest plastic or things like that, they get involved with the rescue and rehabilitation. It's very cool. Anyway, onwards. Here's cheers.
Cheers.
To the first day of our latest adventure. Cheers. Well, we got away from the dock again, which is always the hardest part. I tell you, when people say what is the hardest thing about sailing, the hardest thing is without doubt getting away from the land. There's always something else to be done, always a reason that you need to be somewhere else or something to stop you. That's the real challenge, I think, is just pushing through all of that stuff and untying those lines. Anyway, we did it, finally.
Cheers.
Cheers. So we travelled for 28 nautical miles to get here. Took us 4 hours and 50 minutes. So I'm surprised it's that slow. We had wind behind us and current with us, which was good. But I guess it was all the faffing around at the beginning and the end, because you count it from when you turn the engine on to when you turn the engine off. It takes you a while to anchor.
Should have taken a bit longer to anchor.
A long time ago, back when we were more practiced and doing this more often, we used to get to an anchorage, pick a spot, and then do a bit of a circle around it to check for hazards. Yeah. And we've got out of that habit. This is another reason why it's so important to get out as much as you can, even if you are in one place, and even if, like us, you're spending other time like with the refit, because you can easily forget things and just get out of practice. And just something as simple as that we forgot that we used to do.
You know why we didn't do it? Because we've got too complacent just being in one place all the time.
Yeah.
Like, we know the anchorages that we go to so well.
Yeah.
And you come to a new one and you tend to do the same thing as you do in places that you're used to and you know. And it doesn't work.
Yeah, and this is a brand new anchorage for us. We've actually never anchored here before, so we should have been more guarded, and especially with the forecast for thunderstorms. So I think we better stop there, because you know what could go wrong.
True to the forecast, the storms that had formed way inland that afternoon now marched towards the coast. Our sunset was interspersed with flashes of lightning, which made for a nervous start to the night. Sometimes the storms we encounter in this part of Queensland maintain their ferocity as they reach the sea. Often, though, they dissipate. On this occasion, we watched towering cumulus clouds feather out, and our radar painted a promising picture. It was a relief when the thunder and lightning receded, the sky cleared, and the stars came out. Just as all storms pass, so did this one, giving way to total calm and a mirror-like glass out overnight and into the next day.
Well, good morning. We've had a lovely night here at Bilbob Bay, and I can't tell you what a relief it was when the lightning stopped and the stars came out. So it's been flat calm ever since. We've had dolphins feeding around the edges of the reef and the bay this morning. We've had turtles on the surface. We've had tuna jumping.
We've had garfish.
All sorts. It's been wildlife-tastic. So anyway, we're going to go ashore to the second little beach, the one we didn't go to last night, and have a little walk there. Look at that. That little underwater garden.
Look out the bodies, John.
Beautiful palm tree here. You don't see many palm trees on these islands because apparently they're not native, so national parks at some stage had a bit of a purge. Anyway, it's always nice when you do see one, because they're just the essence of the tropics. Well, Josh has just declared a toilet emergency, so that's put an end to our coconut gathering. Well, everyone's ablutions have been done, crisis averted, and we've left Bilbob Bay. You can hear the engine on because there's pretty much no wind, so we're just motoring south for a little while, hoping that maybe it fills in just enough for us to get the code 0 out. We'll keep you posted.
That breeze never did fill in, and it was an uneventful motor to St Bees Island at the bottom of the wider Whitsundays. Here we reflected on what had been a near-perfect 24 hours of boat life, champagne sailing downwind through a tropical island paradise. Thank you for sharing this experience with us, and we hope you'll join us next time as we point our bows further south in search of adventure. Until then,